What you're about to hear is a short clip that I edited out of episode 4, season 4, which was an episode about the difference between neophilia and neophobia, that is, loving change and fearing change, and how that basic temperamental difference, whether you're more on the end of neophobia or more on the end of neophilia, that basic temperamental difference ends up developing into being an adult that is either a liberal or a conservative. And I had added this little clip that you're about to hear because I thought it was interesting and certainly relevant. But then after listening to it, I thought it didn't really belong there. But I still thought it was interesting. So here it is. I just came across an article the other day in Scientific American that talked about psilocybin as a medical treatment. They've been doing a lot of research in the last few years about using it for depression, for example. Psilocybin is the magic ingredient in magic mushrooms. And it says in here that it's set to be licensed next year as a mental health treatment. It's kind of like therapy under the influence of psilocybin. So they do a therapy session or 2 or 3, and then you get the medicine, and then they help you go through the trip, sometimes several times, and then there's some therapy afterwards. And it produces dramatic changes in people. And one of the things this article is about, the article is called "What If a Pill Can Change Your Politics or Religious Beliefs?" And they were talking about that people tend to become more liberal after these experiences. When I read that, I thought, well, it must make you more open to change. That is, liking change more. And sure enough, later in the article, it says psilocybin use leads to increases in the personality domain of openness. They've been using it really successfully for what they call treatment-resistant depression. And part of the standard treatment for depression has to do with changing the way people think. Well, of course, if you're resistant to change of any kind, you would be resistant to change in the way you think about things. And if you had a drug that could make you more open to change, more willing to look at change as a positive thing, then it would be easier to change the way that you think, and so you become less depressed. Okay, that's the end of the clip. I just thought it was interesting. If you have any questions or you want to make a comment, write to me directly, adamkahn@usa.com. And I invite you to follow me on my blog, adamleekahn.com. This Atom Bomb podcast episode is sponsored by Anchor, a podcast platform, the one I'm using to make this podcast. It's super easy to use and allows you to easily create your own podcast. You can record and edit your audio right onto the app. In fact, you can do everything on your phone. Anchor also makes it easy to monetize your podcast and get wide distribution. Anchor automatically makes your podcast available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You can download the Anchor app for free or go to anchor.fm to get started.